Today you are going to learn how this realm really works. Now we will add in our trumpeters. Yes, I decoded what the trumpeters represent in scriptures. Let's add in our equatorial compression zones and our north and south expansion zones. This, ladies and gentlemen, is how our realm divides and multiplies the sex pairs. It is the exact same principle, although on a creator-sized scale. You will understand that hot flow across the equator now, hopefully. You can see now what is very special with the golden ratio. It is basically telling you that the Higgs boson zones are where the golden ratio lies, the golden parts of the colour spectrum where the short circuit will take place. They are all harnessing energy within their cubed spheres at the golden ratio. Pretty cool, isn't it? This image by Walter Russell contains some very interesting information. The gravity cycle is the motivative force of the universal heartbeat. Notice how Walter correctly uses the bar magnet as a pressure recorder, because this is what gravity truly is. A pressure system that is created by the halos we have been highlighting for some time now. We realized you do not need a container to create a pressure system. The projected halos create this system perfectly, and we have shown this in our End Times 2 video with the decodings of what Noah really is and how it works, and with references to the receding oceans events and how it was designed to contain water. Another thing that really surprised me when I overlaid this on our grid and decoded more parts of the realm, as this helped me to see how the flow was matching real world data. This is another layer of the APM model, and One Conscience is going to explain how.
When I look at this, it's truly exciting to see everything I've been attempting to express for the last few years, shown in such vivid detail. So let's discuss it and relate it to our Earth energy flow from the perspective of earthquakes and volcanoes. From our east and west gates, we have simultaneous energy coming in, running down the equator. As it hits each cross point of expansion areas, it will split and flow the grid up and down, releasing along the way, always in the same spots. This is repeatable data that can be easily tracked. From the east and west simultaneously, the energy will flow to the pre-designed path, moving towards the center of the grid. All of the crisscross points are volcanic fields as well. Some are dormant and some are active. Depending on the cycle of the micro scale of the world determines if these volcanic fields are active. The two large S's that we see are very special points. These areas are where the energy has multiplied and expanded out the most it can be in our realm, so the power generated back in to become compressed at the center is very great. We see the effects of these areas in the form of constant earthquake activity and major volcanic eruptions. These two major spots give the power its push to continue the push that makes the journey. We see most of our major activity on the spots that are compressing inwards towards the center. All around, we do have activity, but it's the main compression areas that have the most powerful effects. As we hit the center of the grid, from both sides, the energy will make its way north, as we have shown in past presentations. We have referred to this as a reset spot. However, what occurs is the energy heads north up the meridian, and it spreads out at the northern point. It then wraps around and heads east and west to return again to the gates. Then the process begins again. This effect is what we call torus energy. This is the energy we have been following across the grid for over 2 years now. This is one more layer that allows us to show you the flow in more understandable terms. This is the cause of our Earth events that science says can't be predicted. However, with the blueprints like this, and the rest of the knowledge we alone have shared, we can know our Earth and the repeatable, predictable processes.
This design and layout perfectly explains the quake areas as One Conscience just demonstrated, which we have always stated this is technology switching on. And we can see from the design the anode and cathode array setup, the positive and negatives the energy paths and grid creates, the division and multiplication of the sex pairs. You can see how these energies are distributed around this grid easily. This layer appears to be on a different level to the previous layer One Conscience just talked about, another layer in the underworld. To decode the realm, we just need to decode the best minds in the world, as they all have to stay and operate within the laws of the construct. You can make your own minds up on how Walter decoded this knowledge, but as you can see here, this fits our grid perfectly and everything is exactly where it needs to be to work on a realm scale model. This of course adds another layer to the APM model, more parts of the construct decoded. The shapes of these two large areas also appear to have a 4-tier pyramidal design. Again, the Walter Russell explanation of gravity and pressure apply, which we know now relates to expansion and compression cycles that generate huge amounts of energy within the light spectrum. Also notice we now have an idea what would be at the east gate, another layer or area we can contemplate and work out its design. The design does appear to be recycling energy back into the grid. This is amazing information and certainly helps explain how this realm is working. The scriptural trumpets represent the torus field created by the tornado vortex the accelerators create. Two counter-rotating coils basically working together to create that environment. As we have mentioned previously, tornadoes and winds are created by the projected halos, of which we have been documenting and explaining now for years. The lunar waves I decoded in previous videos reveal the halos, as do many people's recordings, whom have been kind enough to share them. You can see various decodings of these videos here on my channel. We can now see a layer coming into view, which would represent a part of the east gates. Another addition to the APM model. Now we can see how the energy gets recycled back into the realm. Isn't that amazing, people? More blueprints that actually make sense when overlaid with the Nazca line overlays we call our grid. What are the chances of that? We can now duplicate that and demonstrate what it would look and behave like from all of the gates. And isn't that amazing? It makes perfect sense and completes the circuit. This is mind-blowing and very revealing information and helps explain a great many things.